mother-in-law shows up at her son's wedding, completely uninvited, and this comes with 6 full updates, and I hope you're ready for this absolute roller coaster. This is a long and confusing story, and I'm not sure who is wrong. Today was my wedding day, and my mother-in-law tried to stop it. I didn't do anything to her. In fact, it was my first time seeing her. The funny part, my fiancé Edward told me that she passed away when he was a kid. I guess the whole thing about his mom started years ago. When we were starting to date, I introduced him to my parents because I saw a future with him. But he always made excuses as to why he did not want to meet his parents. He said that he had a very difficult relationship with his dad and stepmom. Okay, so there's no pressure on my side. He met my parents and eventually I met his. I saw that his dad, who appeared to be in his 60s, had a younger wife who could not have been more than 40 years of age. Her name was Angela, and they had a 5-year-old son. Edward did not seem comfortable, and I could tell that by the end of the meeting his energy had depleted. What was worse was that when we went home, he was mad at me for forcing him to interact with his father. He told me that his mom had died years ago and that his dad moved on so quickly. Because of that, he had a hard time getting along with his stepmother and his dad. Fast forward to 3 years later, when Edward proposed to me. It was a very small wedding and family members. I fought hard for this dad and stepmom to be there, and I really wanted them to resolve their issues between them. I did not know exactly what happened, but I saw that his dad truly cared for him. His stepmom was also a very nice person once I got to know her, but there were a lot of secrets that I felt were being kept from me. I felt that maybe I should just back away from the wedding because when it comes to this family, Eddie was very weird. The one thing I value is family, and my parents asked if I would be able to have a good family life with someone who didn't get along with his family. But in the end, I could not think of a life without my Eddie, so I decided to go through with it. During the wedding preparations, my planner, a very good but busy woman, told me that she had an emergency, so she was handing my wedding over to another one of her associates, Dina. I was worried about that, thinking that Dina might not understand my style, and we would have a problem with the wedding, but the only other option was to postpone or wait for my planner to come back. So, I met up with Dina, and Dina was magic. She asked me a lot of questions about me and my fiancé so that she could make our wedding as personalized as possible. She also got me all the best deals on stuff, saving me a lot of money. I swore by her she was the best, and my husband was so impressed by the work that she's done that he asked if maybe we could invite her to the wedding also. She was already going to be there to oversee, but we wanted her as a proper guest at the wedding and her to join the after party. My original planner was the one who was going to oversee most stuff as well, so we figured it wouldn't be much of a problem. But before extending the invitation, I asked her to join us for dinner. She ran late for the dinner, then told me that she was on her way but never pitched. I was mad and embarrassed because I've spoken so highly of her. I also had a cousin who was planning a vow renewal and had come all the way from another state wanting to see her. I had to make excuses for her, and my family just gave me weird looks. In the first place, they thought it was weird that I wanted to invite her to dinner. The next day, she did explain to me that her child had gotten sick suddenly, and she could not get to her phone to tell me that she wanted to postpone. I felt terrible for some of the messages I left on her phone, thinking she lied to me about coming over, but we moved past it. There was no time to reschedule, so we figured everyone would see her on the day of the wedding. Well, on the day of the wedding, things went from bad to worse in just a matter of minutes. I'm so lucky that I'm even married at this point. As I'm typing, I'm supposed to be on my honeymoon. Instead, I'm cooped up in a hotel room and I don't know where my husband is. After what happened at the wedding, he told me that he just needs some air, and then he pretty much disappeared. Well, when we were about to say our vows, my father-in-law interrupted, shouting this, "You, how dare you come here?" We turned to look at him and found him furious in the face, finger pointing across the room. He was pointing to a lady that I recognized as Dina. I asked what was going on, and my father-in-law apologized but said that she was a gate crusher, and he was sorry for interrupting. I said I invited her and she was my planner. Dina just smiled innocently and said to my father-in-law, "So, I figure that you're trying to get me out of my son's wedding." The guest gasped. Everyone knew that Eddie's mom had passed away 10 years ago. What was Dina talking about? I looked at my fiancé and saw that he turned a pale, white ghost color, and the ring he was holding fell to the floor. He started his head and breathing heavily. I knew the signs of a panic attack, and I dragged him off the altar and went to one of the rooms. I gave him some water and tried to get him to breathe. Meanwhile, I could hear shouting in the hall. I got so mad. I didn't know what they were shouting about, but it was inappropriate. I got one of my bridesmaids to sit with my Eddie when I went to investigate. Right in front of the guest, Dina was popping off. She told my father-in-law that he might have tried to keep her away for years, but she's back to reclaim that was hers. On top of that, she insulted Angela, calling her a gold digger and saying she would never replace her. Angela did not keep quiet. She said at least she did not ruin her own son's wedding. Dina did not care or seem to realize that her son was not even there. My father-in-law told her that she had no right to come to the wedding after what she's done. He told her that her abandoning her son 10 years ago and leaving him a single father was something that simply could not be forgiven. He said he had to lie to his son that she passed away so he would not grow up to look for her. He tolerated Eddie's hate and resentment over the years because it's better than Eddie being heartbroken that his own mother didn't want him. Dina starts to cry. She said that she had no choice in the matter even if he had made her seem like a villain. He asked how she had no choice in the matter when she chose money over her own son. Turns out she'd gotten a rich boyfriend and ditched her husband and child all those years ago. She had been living life in luxury while he struggled to make ends meet. She had not even sent child support for her child when he was growing, even though the court ordered to do it. I was sick and tired of hearing her excuses. I didn't know the full story, but I felt that she was playing games, and I was not interested in said games. I called security and told them to kick her out to make sure she doesn't return, and I vowed that I would never allow her to see my precious Eddie ever again. I'd seen enough of her character to know that she was poison. What kind of mother abandons her child for a man? She did not even get to contact yet, felt as the wedding was inappropriate for her to reveal herself. What nerve she has. Eventually, Eddie calmed down and told me that we had to go through with the wedding, and we're going to talk about this at some point. I agreed, even though it was not the best situation and I meant my vows. I'll stand by him at any point. What I want to know is if I'm right in not wanting her to be in his life. Over the years, he's expressed a great desire to even have one more moment with her. I don't know how best to support him right now. I feel I was responsible for our wedding being an absolute mess. What's up guys, Mr. Reddito here. So this is a wild drama. The next few updates are diary style, so they're short updates, but there's some very crucial information that's going to be listed. I hope you guys are enjoying your day today. If you are, let me know about it in the comment section, and let's jump into update number 1. It's been a week since the wedding and things are not good. Eddie did come home eventually, but he shut down virtually. When I ask him about his mom, he says his mom's dead, and that woman was not his mother. I should probably stop asking about her, but I don't know what else to do. I want him to at least tell her to be back off in person. I need him to heal from heartache he felt back then. As for his dad has been trying to reach out. I spoke to him, and he asked me to convince him to see his dad. But the problem is that Eddie does not want to see his dad. We're at a stalemate. Nothing's moving. I feel so guilty, and I brought her back. I caused this. So now my options are limited. Maybe I should just leave it be and let him process this. Update number 2 a month later. It's a month later, and things are also not good. He still does not want to talk about it. In fact, he started to avoid me and spends more time with his friends. His mom has tried to contact us, but I don't want her anywhere near him. However, I feel that I must at least get him to speak to his father, so that his dad can explain everything. I fear, though, that if I do that, he'll be upset with me. There's no choice, and he's unwilling to do anything but wallow in self-pity. We're married, but he's treating me like his roommate. Imagine, yeah. Let me call his dad. Maybe he can knock some sense into him. Update number 2, he met his father. So I got him to talk to his dad, and I had to threaten him, to be honest, and I don't feel good about it. But it was 1 step forward and 5 steps back. I don't know what they talked about when we were going home. He said nothing. An hour later, there was a knock on the door and his mom came in. She had bags of food and gifts with her, and she was chirpy and acting like all was good. Then she basically ordered me to put the groceries away and started talking to her son without acknowledging me. I was stewing. How dare she come out of nowhere and to my house and order me to leave her with my husband? I went to do as she said, but kept a close eye on her. She stayed for dinner, and he seemed okay to have her there, and as soon as she left, I wanted to know what was going on. He told me that she apologized for what she's done, and she was getting older and was starting to show signs of dementia, and she really wanted to see her son while she still had her mind. It seemed all too convenient, like a trap to get him to forgive her. I told my father-in-law, and he said that for now we can't do anything. We have to see what she's really going to do next. I've not much of a choice, but I'm keeping my eyes sharply on her. If she starts asking for money or favors from us, then I'll know that she's for real. I don't get why she had this trick with us when she wanted to get to know her own son, on his wedding day as well. And now, because she's back in our lives and has dementia, we're not going to get a honeymoon anytime soon. I'm so over this. This morning, all I could hear about was his mom and how awesome her life and all these years have been. It's like she put a spell on him or something. Do not even get me started about the gifts she gave us. The worst part is they're all brands that I admire, but I'll not use any of her stuff. Update number 3. 3 months later. That's it. I'm done. I moved out of my house today. She did it. She drove me out of my husband's life. Both of them deserve each other. I don't not in any way deserve to be treated the way I've been treated for these past few months. First, he invited her to stay with us 2 months ago after she burned herself, blaming her condition. When she started to stay here, he prioritized her over me. She took all of my free time when I wanted to go out, saying that she needed something from the shop or a massage. At first, I kept quiet because I thought I was doing all this for my man. Even though she riled me up, insulted me, and blamed me on her condition, I told myself to just breathe and remain calm. She was sick, and I did not need to be mean to her. At least my husband was happier now, and he was not mad at his dad anymore. He was spending more time with his father and mom, exclusive of each of other's course. So, I wanted him to be happy, and I put up with him. But then there was the second major big thing. He promised me a honeymoon a month ago, and we were supposed to leave a few days back. He made arrangements for her to be well taken care of, but that woman woke up, packed her stuff, and said she was going with us. He told me that she must have assumed we were all going because of her condition, but I told him just to fix it. He told her, and she starts crying, and he gave me the look of, "You see what you did?" And then he asked if it would be so bad if she came along with us. And, of course, it would be so bad. What the heck? It's our honeymoon, not a family vacation. I said she's staying, end of discussion, plus we don't have money to take her with us. Then he said that we could cancel some of our activities to take her with us. I did not even feel anger. I felt like crying. When I cried, he rolled his eyes and told me that once again I was making it all about me. I've sacrificed my self-respect and a lot for him and his mom, never once complaining, and now he thought it was okay for him to treat me like this? I told him that if he wants, he can go with her, but I'm going nowhere with him. And then she started to apologize and said that she was at fault and something's wrong with her. And then, to make matters worse, she began banging her head on the wall. When we finally got her to stop, she acted like she did not know who we were. I saw the wheels turning in his head after her drama, and he told me that she was going or we aren't going at all. Well, since my bags were already packed, I told him goodbye and walked out. I've reached the breaking point. Everything's about him and his mom. She left him years ago, and I stood by him all these years. His dad is well protected and fed him while she was never visiting once. I told his stepmom what happened, and she told me to come crash at their place. She and I are very close. We have been forever. There's not one bad word I can say about that woman. She treats him like her own son, even though he barely acknowledges her. He's clearly a spoiled brat. When I got there, I told them everything that's been happening, and they told me to take a few days just to calm down. Angela had already made the guest room for me, and she listened to me rant on and on about my mother-in-law. And then she told me something that was shocking. She said that she'd not even told her husband, but she felt she had a stalker, and she suspected it was my mother-in-law. She showed me the messages, and the messages were threatening her and her child while calling her names. I asked if she'd seen anyone following her, but she said no. Well, I had a feeling that this is related to my mother-in-law, but how? I'll have to rest a bit and then see if I still care to take her on, or if I should just take my stuff and run. Hey guys, Mr. Edito here. So the next update came out 2 weeks later, and this is a very impactful update, so sit down with your favorite beverage and strap your seatbelts in because it's about to be a bumpy ride. You'll not believe what happened. Her cover was blown, she doesn't have dementia, and she tried to hurt Eddie's little brother Jake. She was trying to get back into their lives because, well, her life flopped the past 10 years and she's broke. I knew that I should not have trusted her, but the damage that she inflicted on our family's just too much. She doesn't deserve forgiveness. I feel that karma would deal with her properly. Here's how everything unfolded. My stepmom and father-in-law pretended that I was not staying with them and offered to help him out with his mom. While they were there, my dad distracted her while stepmom went through her things. She found out that she had a lot of credit cards, with an insane amount. What was even crazier was the number of fake IDs that she had. All signs pointed to her being a scammer on the other side. My father-in-law was working hard. He took on the responsibility of driving her around and giving her the medicine. But he noticed that she was not drinking medicine when she gave them to him. On top of that, the clinic where she got her diagnosis closed 1 year ago, but she said that she was diagnosed 6 months ago. My father-in-law also used the chance to get closer to his son. He observed that my husband was feeling a lot of guilt over his mother's condition, so he felt that he had to do anything for her. But one thing stuck with me, that he told me, and that was that Eddie missed me a lot. I was sad though, because after what happened, I did not know if he would ever be able to be happy together again, once again, or if she had destroyed the relationship beyond the breaking point. There was not much we could find out about her but the fake IDs and credit cards, as well as the hospital records that were clearly forged were worth something. My stepmom and father-in-law decided to send the things to him anonymously, but made sure they were there when he received them. What happened next was just sad. He opened the proof and found out everything. He asked her if it was true, to which she replied that it was all a ploy by me and his dad to get her out of his life. Not only that, but she mistakenly mentioned the name of the clinic and made an excuse as to why it was closed a year ago, saying that her hospital was using those labs still. But she got herself caught up in a lie, because not once did my husband tell her that it was a specific clinic. Things only went downhill as she tried but failed to keep up the facade. Eddie was so hurt that he told her to leave without letting her finish explaining that he called me. Things might be difficult for us, but when he calls, I answer. Hearing his heartbroken voice was enough for me to go back home immediately. He apologized for everything, but I'd already forgiven him. But I needed to know how bad the damage was because she was clearly here for something. My father-in-law has some connections that were able to assist us further by checking the public police records. This was when we found out that she had been linked to some fraud or theft cases, but there was never evidence to convict her. She clearly has been planning to use my husband for a couple of years by playing with his emotions. I don't get how she could be like that towards her own son. She was greedy, and I knew it from the things that she demanded when we were staying with her. The man she left her son for got tired of her and probably kicked her out. She was getting older, so she thought she'd try to get back to that life she used to have. We were now relieved that she was gone, and my husband and I wanted to start our process of healing, but she had other plans. We'd forgotten about the cryptic messages that my stepmother-in-law was receiving that were threatening her and her son's safety until she called us 2 hours later. We rushed to the scene and saw that she was bleeding on her arm. When we exposed Eddie's mom, she left or appeared to have left, but in fact, she was waiting for my stepmom to be alone. My father-in-law had gone to get something at the store when she approached the car and tried to hurt the child. My stepmom put herself between them, which was when she got stabbed with a piece of glass. She got some medical attention, but she was ultimately fine. It wasn't that bad, and at least her son was safe. My father-in-law was furious, knowing that she had felt so brave to try and hurt his family. He left us in the hospital room and went on a call, and then he told us that she would not be a problem anymore. He reported her to the police, and she was now going to be arrested for assault. There was also going to be a deeper investigation into her crimes. Finally, she had been exposed and will be punished for her crimes. Update number 6, a month later. Nothing terrible has happened since then. It appears that all luck that she's used to get away with things over the years has run dry, and now she has to face some punishment. She tried to deny the assault charges, but was charged with a physical assault and intent to do bodily harm to Angela and her son. She was such an amateur that those texts were easily traced to her phone, and someone had seen her go to the car and attempt to hurt my stepmom. Angela could not leave the house for days after she hurt her, and I don't blame her. How can another mother try to hurt someone else's child? It's like Dina has absolutely no realization of how or what she does affects everybody else. When she was trying to defend herself, her voice was cold and her eyes were like glass. There was no remorse or fear, as if she was getting used to getting away with this. She might have been used to getting away with things, but this was personal, and we all had an axe to grind with her. Simultaneously, I was a witness against her in the case of being a scam artist. I made sure to cooperate to my fullest extent and give them every single detail that incriminated her. She had no idea how much I've noticed and seen while she focused on playing Eddie. Eddie, who had now started to accept his father and understand why his dad did what he did. That only time I saw fleeting emotion on Dina's face was when Eddie wished that he had never found out she was alive, because what she cost him. I knew what he meant, our relationship, but we cannot deal with it at the moment. In the end, our testimonies were enough, but since she had committed more crimes in another state, she'd been taken back to that place. My father-in-law was the one who was able to keep me updated on the issue. In the end, she got several years in prison, but with a chance to appeal once she had served her half her sentence. I hoped that she would not get the parole, that she would be haunted by what she's done for a very long time, even if only it would make her a bit remorseful. But I felt I was hoping for so much. She's been cruel for many years, and nothing can make her change now. After she was gone, we were left to deal with the rest of this mess that she left. I was only finding this out, but she made Eddie take out a loan to help her out with her medical condition. She had taken the money and lied about getting treatment while spending the money. There's no way to recover it, and soon the bank would come knocking, wanting their money. Yeah, I understand the situation that we were in as a couple, but we'll be able to get through it together. She will not win. She once told me, when she was pretending to have dementia, that my time in the marriage was coming to an end because I did not deserve her son. Well, those were just lies. She told herself to convince herself that we were not strong. Well, now it's time to rebuild. Dina. Oh, Dina, Dina, Dina. Dina might be one of those characters in these stories that we think about for months to come. We've had many memorable people. Piercing Patty, you can name them, there's so many of them. But where does Dina rank in this listing of truly vile characters, guys? Let me know your thoughts about this story, how OP handled everything, and how Dina finally got what she deserved. Going to prison for a long time. This was a lot to understand and take on. It was pretty emotional, and it was a heck of a roller coaster. Thank you for joining me on today's content. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, smash that like button, consider subscribing, and Mr. Reddito will catch you in the next one. Peace!